Natasha, and if you're watching this video, welcome to my Chiron series. So I will be doing the intro of what is Chiron, and then for each individual sign for each video, as well as how it might be playing out within each of the 12 houses for that actual zodiac sign. So stay tuned, please subscribe and like this video or share it with someone that you may find that it may help them. So we all have Chiron in our chart. So what is Chiron? So Chiron is basically the wounded healer. In a nutshell, it is the area where we just feel inadequate in, we just suck at, we don't know why, and it is something that it will just keep coming up throughout our lifetime in some way, shape, or form. Usually it's stronger kind of earlier in life, and hopefully if you work on it and heal it over time, it will be a little bit lighter and not as impactful or awkward for you. And when you heal it, it is actually your superpower, and it is something that you are really good at in its own way, and it is something that you can help other people who struggle with in this area as well, if that made any sense. I am a Chiron in Gemini in the 9th house, so if you want to look at that video or in my past videos, I have a video on that and how that kind of plays out. So you'll often see me stumbling with words because Gemini is learning, speaking, reading, writing, and learning, and so that seems to be a thing for me. So I'm sorry about that. It keeps coming up. But when I was really young, I was practically a mute and I did not speak at all. So you can see over the years that is, not the case, and I may be able to communicate things to you in a way that maybe other people may not be able to communicate with, or more patient when it comes to learning disabilities, speaking impediments, things like that. So hopefully you find this video informative in the way that I express it, if other videos are not necessarily hitting it for you. So Chiron is just basically that zodiac sign and where it is placing in whatever house it is for you, how it's acting out, or what area in life that Chiron placement is wounding you, or where you have been wounded early on in life and it's kind of affected you in whatever decisions you made, or fear-based mentalities, whatever things that kind of led from one thing to another over time, if you've kept ignoring it and not addressing it, because it is scary and it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good. Sometimes you don't even know how to resolve it because like you're awkward at it. And so, knowing where your Chiron placement is and what sign it is can help you feel like, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just something that you were born with, that you came here to learn as a human being here on Earth School, and for your soul to kind of overcome and resolve in your own way. So this way you can help other people, because when we interact with other human beings on this planet, where we all go through human struggles, no matter what it looks like on the outside, you can bring this superpower, this quality that is very unique and personal to you, to help someone else and empathize with someone else, who's going through the same thing, or a friend whose child is going through something like that and they don't know what to do. You bring this special quality if you're able to heal it, and work on it. So that is basically what Chiron is. It was like a healing centaur, like a good centaur in Greek mythology, and this was a wound that this centaur was not able to heal, even though he was a healer and a teacher, you know, and sometimes, you know, you look at a teacher or a guru or someone who you see as above you, and if they can't figure it out, you know, or heal something or problem solve something, it's kind of like, oh, you know, even my teacher, you know, is flawed, you know, because, you know, regardless of if someone has like a title leadership role, who looks like they have it all, they are a human being and they have problems too. They are not perfect. They do not always have the answers. So, you know, be a little bit compassionate about other people because they have a Chiron placement just like you. And if we all kind of become more aware of our Chiron placement, because it is like a big factor in my what, you know, here we go, in my perspective, yeah. In my perspective, Chiron is a big one to try and focus on and heal. The next one is Saturn, and another one is your North Node, South Node. So please subscribe and check out those videos if I haven't posted them quite yet. You know, you have your big three, Sun, Moon, and Rising in astrology if you're new to astrology. And if you're digging deeper into it, you know, Chiron, Saturn, North Node, South Node. Those are three big ones that I would also dive into, as those three, the Chiron, Saturn, and North Node, South Node thing, are going to be big factors as to how you kind of grow and evolve as a soul, what you came here to do in this lifetime, what is very unique and authentic for you as a human being, you know, regardless of how society is structured or how whatever culture or place in the world you live in, how that is structured. This is more personalized to you. And if you've kind of helped figure that out, you'll kind of have more guidance, you know, as to where you're supposed to kind of go in life, you know. And it can kind of also make you feel heard, make you feel like there's nothing wrong with you. This is just something that you have to work on. You may reflect on childhood as to like connecting the dots of how these kind of struggles may have initiated. You know, like for me, I have Chiron and Gemini, and when I was growing up, the environment was pretty quiet, you know, and I'm a Libra rising, you know, and so I tended to, what I naturally went towards is kind of sensing, you know, I'm very intuitive. I kind of sense, engage the environment, the room. I read body language, facial expressions. When I hear someone say something, you know, I'm not just listening, I'm trying to hear them. And I also notice when I'm not heard because I say something, and based on the response someone gives me, I'm like, yeah, they didn't get what I was trying to say. And then I determine, you know, is it important enough or not to intervene, or it's like, yeah, it's like whatever, it's not important, so I'll just let it go. This is something that you can kind of work on and be just more compassionate and empathetic about other people in your scenario. And the more and more people who come to this realization, awareness, level of consciousness, as you know, there's more and more and more levels of consciousness and awareness, then, you know, you can help prevent hurting other people unintentionally. You know, yeah, because usually it's not intentional, hopefully, you know, but when you're more aware of yourself, number one, you can catch yourself when it's actually happening, or you're like, oh crap, you know, like I did it again, you know, and then you can try and work on it over time, you know, or recognize different things, you know, because if you're not aware of it, you're not going to fix it. You're just going to overlook it. You may realize that, you're just living on survival mode. You're just trying to feel loved and seen and appreciated so much to where you're kind of blinded by what you're actually doing, you know. So I think that's it for my little intro spiel, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so I will start with the series after this, and it'll be time stamped down below if you want to kind of skip things. So yeah, okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so Chiron in Pisces, in the sign of Pisces. So for you guys, y'all are a little bit special, as all of the rest of my Chiron in the sign videos. I have been able to pre-record them and do as much as possible and schedule them out. That's how I am able to maneuver the various things that are going on in my life during this time and getting the videos out the way that I would like them to, kind of consistently. And for you, I've had to postpone, and you get me without any makeup at all, not even the false eyelashes or anything, as my mom has been in the hospital for about a week, and I have to make major life changes in order to help her out a lot more. And so I'm even more tight on time. And y'all are the 12th sign, or Pisces, and so my next series is going to be Saturn, so it's going to be slower coming out, and you know, my life is going to be reflecting the Saturn energy, and it is my sun sign ruler. So for Pisces, as this might be kind of in a weird way familiar or fitting to you, having Chiron in the sign of Pisces is feeling wounded in spirituality, feeling wounded like by God or the divine or the higher powers or whatever it is, kind of like you got the short end of the stick, or like where was God or whatever for me, or like having just feeling wounded in spirituality, feeling wounded in your intuition or your kind of psychic abilities in some way, feeling wounded with kind of meditation or being alone or having that kind of peace, calm and peace, and kind of feeling of like infinity, expansion, or you know, wound of unconditional love in some way, whether that is you unconventionally, not unconventionally, that's Aquarius, you unconditionally give so much of yourself, or allow so much to others or to other situations or whatever it may be, that you might be taken advantage of, or you have a hard time setting boundaries, because Pisces kind of dissolves boundaries, and that can make things very, very confusing and blurry for you. So you might wonder, why do things always happen to you, or people take advantage, or you have a really hard time saying yes or no to things. You just kind of go along with it. Someone tells you something, they explain it, and you unconditionally kind of empathize and understand their point and their way, so you just go ahead and do it, even though at the end of the day it might hurt you coming back, or you feel taken advantage of, taken for granted of, used, and you don't get what you need or feel you know, that you deserve for what you've sacrificed. You might feel like, you might not know that you feel, well, you probably do know what you feel, but You might self-sacrifice yourself in order for someone else to get their way or get their agenda done, you know. And so you might feel used as a pawn, or feel like you're just kind of stuck, like that is your only choice in order to make it or survive. But it doesn't have to be that direction or route, but that is kind of some of these themes of having the wound of Chiron in the sign of Pisces, because we have to think, what does the sign of Pisces actually represent? And so it's the 12th house. It is the house of the subconscious mind, our dreams and desires, fantasies, creativity. It is the place where we usually seek isolation of some sort, whether that is meditation, having peace within yourself, or actually going to some kind of temple, church, synagogue, mosque, whatever that may be, or a place where you're kind of forced to be alone, like a jail or a hospital where you're kind of closed off, or you're stuck in a hospital bed, or you're very confined and limited to a space where usually when you're stuck in one space, you have a lot more time to think and meditate about a variety of things. You can't really escape or run off and distract yourself with whatever activities that many other people are able to do. You might feel kind of trapped in isolation at times, or feel wounded by feeling kind of trapped or stuck in whatever situation you're just in, whether that is because you just feel bad and compassionate to whatever your particular situation may be, and so you self-sacrifice because you understand and you're willing to give yourself your all, but then you feel wounded by being so loving and self-sacrificing, possibly. You might feel kind of wounded by being able to be mutable, because Pisces is the mutable water sign. So you might feel wounded with being able to kind of maneuver through situations and problems, like in comparison to other people. You might struggle with that, like being able to go with the flow, you know, being able to surrender. Like learning to surrender it might be hard, whether you've taken it with you try to control everything so much to the point where you might self-sabotage and not allow things to flow in a way that, you know, would actually help you out or make your life less harder than what you're trying to control it in order to feel safe. That could be a possibility. Feeling this like wounded in your subconscious mind or your mentality, or maybe not being able to expand like your way of thinking, or maybe you feel like you're not allowed to, depending on how you were brought up. You might have been told what to do and not to do, or what was allowed and not allowed. And so when you're brought up in an environment like that, or maybe you observed and were kind of surrounded by an environment where you just subconsciously just learned that, you know, the way of being and the way of life is just a limited certain way, you might grow up to kind of fear unfamiliar situations and not trust in being able to go with the flow, and kind of being able to move through situations because of that kind of conditioned learning of kind of like a narrow, kind of restricted way of being, living, thinking, believing, wherever is placed. And of course, everyone's situation is kind of different, but I'm just trying to kind of give a variety of examples of how this could be playing out for you. And of course, check out where your Chiron is placed in whatever house it is placed. If it's in the first, third, so look at the combo. So if you have Chiron in Pisces, but in the third house, it's going to be in your house of Gemini. So go check out my video of Chiron in Gemini, and you'll kind of blend the two together of how your particular situation is, kind of how it kind of started, because Chiron is usually something that we are wounded in from a very young age, or notice it at a very young age, and it's very scary and unfamiliar, and we have a really, really hard time breaking free or learning how to heal this part of ourselves. And so when you figure out the house that your Chiron in Pisces is playing out in, you'll have a better understanding of how to kind of become more aware of what is going on for you, especially when you get more information and perspectives, because everyone's perspective might be a little bit different, or you might pick up different information from different kinds of astrologers or interpretations of how it could be playing out for you. And this way you can kind of gradually work on it. And when you do that, you are actually really, really gifted at whatever this is for you. There, you might still be wounded in a way, but you can also be very gifted and blessed, or there's something about it that you are able to help heal other people in some way, shape, or form. Like you could be very psychic. You just know things and you don't really know why, and maybe you have a hard time trusting. And that takes time to kind of decipher boundaries, or asserting yourself, or not feeling so bad, or feeling like everything is your fault, because that can be a thing in conditioning when you grow up, that you might think that whatever situation that is not your fault at all is your fault. Like you've absorbed a lot of energy and things that are actually not yours, pain, emotion, love, but it's all kind of blurry, so there's no boundaries. You don't really know what is yours and what is other people's stuff and baggage and things like that. So that can kind of hurt you in a way, or maybe you feel like you do need time to yourself, to be isolated, to kind of decompress and escape all these very heavy and intense energies, because you soak it up like a sponge. Think of Pisces as, one of the signs that it's a sponge, and there's water in there, and you just lay it on top and it just absorbs it, and even when you squeeze out any fluid, it's not that original super dry sponge, it's still moist. It takes a really, really, really long time for all of the little teeny tiny molecules of whatever fluid product, could be toxic chemicals, it could be dirty, muddy water, or very clean, pure water, it takes a really, really long time to kind of extract that. And even if it dried out, if it was like toxic chemicals and dirty mud, but it wasn't cleaned out with purified, clear water, it's going to be dried up with those toxic chemicals, So maybe that kind of gives you more of a visual of kind of like a Pisces kind of wound, or someone who has like a ton of Pisces in their chart. They're very sensitive to just the energy in the room or energy of the people there. And so that can be kind of, it makes you feel bad, or like you're not wanted, or there's something wrong with you, or you're an abomination in the world, or you know, like you have been disgraced. So it's just like feeling wounded with spirituality, or like a kind of like a unconditional love, you know, like if, for instance, you grew up in a family that was very religious, you know, but there's something about you that is kind of unorthodox, or not traditional to the views of their belief system, and they kind of don't like you because of the way things happen for you, even though it's not your fault at all. It's, you were just born, you're an innocent being, innocent baby, that just happened to be plopped into some whatever family system you grew up in, and the family's religious group or whatever group it is that you were born into, they kind of exiled you. And so that is like, I didn't even do anything wrong, and you know, you're supposed to be a group of God and spirituality and unconditional love or whatever, and you're basically saying I'm a piece of shit and I shouldn't exist, you know. But that is not true at all. So this is a wound that you may feel kind of like weird, or you know, it's like a big, deep, deep pain for you as to like, you know, like what, like, are you even allowed to exist? You know, like what is wrong with me? And life has kind of given you the short end of the stick, and you know, and it's very, very painful and not, you know, it's not right. So, you know, when things like that happen to you, you can have things like really low self-esteem, self-confidence, you know, and that's something that you have to work on, because you do have value. There is nothing actually wrong with you unless you treat people terribly, you know. That's never a good thing. You know, you are going to attract other people who are into doing bad things to other people, and you're going to repel other people who, you know, will actually treat you correctly, like a decent human being who has, you know, wants and desires just like everybody else, and just want to be happy. So you'll repel people if you start acting in a negative way. So please don't do that. You might be surrounded by a group of people who are not good for you. And there's nothing wrong with that, because there are billions of people in the world, and not everyone is meant to be in your bubble. You know, you have to kind of branch out and find those people over time who are right for you and who actually appreciate you and kind of vibe with you on the same level, you know. So even me, like I'll be like, well, no, I don't see anything in common with me and you, but there's nothing wrong with that as long as I don't treat you like a piece of shit, you know. Like there's no one's going to be a complete match to each other. So just learning to find your group and starting to recognize the little things, because Pisces is the opposite of Virgo. So Virgo is very detail oriented, trying to learn about discernment and noticing the fine little details about all kinds of stuff, even energy or certain things that people say or not say, or do and not do. And you know, you can kind of learn what are people's actual intentions with you. Do they just keep you around because they want access to you when it's only good on their terms, or when they can get something out of you because they find something beneficial, or they know that if they ask you, you're just going to say, yes, I'll do it. You know, you're never going to challenge them or whatever, because you might feel like, oh, any kind of attention is good attention, you know. But that's not entirely true. People can hurt you and deceive you, or just completely abandon you if you don't learn how to notice the details of people's intentions, you know. And Pisces is so huge that that can be very confusing. Learning boundaries, learning what is like a healthy limit of kind of learning to let people just kind of go, just let them flow out, you know. Don't try and force anything, because if they really don't want to do anything with you or for you, or be kind of equal to you in some way, it's like a healthy exchange, then they're probably not going to be the best person in your life, like the age bracket that you're in or going through. I can't get that specific because this can vary on such a grand way, and you have to kind of really kind of problem solve and analyze your own personal situation to see what I'm saying, does it apply to you or does it not apply to you? Because not all of this is going to apply specifically to you, or maybe it won't apply to you right now, but maybe you'll find that some of this might be important or good to know like 20 years from now, you know, because as you age and life will constantly change and evolve in some way, you are supposed to also change and evolve in some way. And so things are going to kind of alter or adapt, but, you know, the Chiron placement is still going to kind of be there, but you can kind of mitigate it or kind of move through the evolutionary part of it over the years that you age, you know. And hopefully you can kind of really master this and, you know, really be able to heal a lot of people, because the water signs, depending on where it's placed in your house, also you're going to have some kind of healing ability or psychic, intuitive ability. You just kind of know things, or can feel things or see things, and you don't truly understand why. But maybe you have a hard time trusting yourself as you're kind of here on planet Earth, and it's very solid and real. And Pisces is kind of like all this solid stuff that exists, the walls in a room or cars, like all of that doesn't really exist. It's all of this is kind of like a dream, but the feelings are very real. So I hope that kind of gave you some insight of what Chiron in the sign of Pisces could be playing out for you, because Pisces themes are going to be subconscious mind, dreams, creativity, fantasy, disillusionment, mysticism, manipulation or deceiving, because you kind of can't really tell what people's intentions are truly are. Boundaries, or dissolving boundaries or unclear boundaries, martyrism or self-sacrificing, unconditional love, or you can kind of see the pain, or you're kind of like a Jesus, you know, you see everyone's pain, or you put two evil characters that society doesn't really like, and you embrace them even though they've done bad things, because you have that unconditional love, and say, hey, if you want to follow me and you hate each other, you're going to have to dish it out, communicate, because you're actually both kind of the same. And then we can kind of move together as a group, but not in a hateful way. Other themes of Pisces is kind of faraway lands, faraway places, things that are in isolation, like prisons, asylums, jails, mental hospitals, places where you pray or worship, meditation, or where you're just quiet and alone, peace, peace and like nothingness, yet everything at the same time. So feeling wounded in these type of categories, feeling wounded in spirituality, like the higher knowing. For me, I think of spirituality as almost like higher than actual religion. It's more, like, if you don't believe in that or anything, that is, your truth. But I find that religion is more of trying to teach something that is like Pisces or spirituality, trying to put that in like teachings and books, and then publishing it and teaching it to a group of people where it's very, very hard to kind of reach that level of comprehension, knowing and understanding of that actual higher spiritual realm, just like it's really hard for a lot of people to grasp like philosophical ideas, but they're really good at reading and memorizing, and learning. It's not like they don't want to learn and know these higher philosophies. It's just really, really hard to grasp giant, big concepts, and that's not the person or a group of people's fault in any way. It's really hard to grasp. Just like there's no way that I am going to really understand quantum physics. It's like, no matter how hard I try, or even if I want to do it, man, I'm just not blessed in that department. And so this is kind of like Chiron in Pisces. So it's just really hard, feels weird, or you don't know what's wrong with you, or how come you can't kind of get this right, or set clear boundary, whatever, I described before, whatever is the main kind of challenge for you, and see if you can work through those challenges. Don't run away or be afraid of kind of facing them, even if it feels like 1 centimeter of improvement at a time, because if you consistently, when the opportunity presents itself, if you kind of do the kind of scary thing, even if it's like really, really small for you, and to someone else it's like a piece of cake, and it's hard for you, do that challenge as long as it's safe and it's not going to actually hurt you, or maybe slow down and think of the short and long-term consequences of whatever it may be, because I can't really say. So for y'all, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do the Pisces, Chiron and Pisces throughout each individual houses of how it might be kind of working out for you, the kind of mix of what I can come up with, as my time is really limited and I have a lot of things to do. But I wanted to make sure I finish the Chiron in Pisces, Chiron in the Chiron series. And my brain doesn't work even more than normal. Kind of got a lot of worry and stress and crying spells and stuff like that. So just check out the other Chiron videos if you know what house that your Pisces and Chiron is playing out with, and listen to that video, especially the first chunk, or jump to the house placement also for whatever that other sign is. Yeah, and you'll kind of piece together a little bit more information for what's going on with you. So hope to see you later. Please like and subscribe so you can see future videos or how my life is evolving as well. And right now we have like a huge stellium in Pisces right now that is going over my Mars at 28 degrees Pisces. I also have Jupiter in Pisces, and it's in my 6th house, and so it's really hitting hard on that. And the North Node is there, and Neptune is right on top of my Mars, and all kinds of good stuff. So I feel like really tired and drained and lost. And maybe that relates to you too in some way. So catch you later. Okay, bye.